We're going to start straight in with Can Affordable Housing as requested.
No waiting.
No waiting. Right to the top.
Right to the top. Okay. I'm Virginia Bush Sutton. I'm the president of Can Affordable Housing. I'm here with Bill Bachrach and Jean-Marie Harwitz. And somebody else from
Larry.
a resident of South Common. This year we are finishing very soon 3 more apartments on Maple Street Extension. But we're here today and much concerned about the future of South Common. South Common with its 24 apartments, which are woven into the town's fabric, benefiting both its residents and the town as a whole. South Common supplies volunteers to town activities, 5 students to the schools, and contributes over $1,000 per apartment to the town tax rolls every year. Now that we have exhausted our abatement on that. This spring, KH took over full ownership of South Common, now 16 years old, from the public-private partnership that built it originally in 2000 to 2003. Since 2018, which was 15 years in the life of South Common, we have been concerned with the replacements and upgrades that will be needed for the best condition at South Common for the next 15 or 20 years. We obtained a pre-development grant from the Department of Housing to pay for a professional architect's firm to do a capital needs assessment, to detail all the things that need to be done in that time. Think rugs, tile floors, painting, efficiency improvements, roofs, parking, pavements, and appliances, and so forth, totaling about more than $1 million. Plan A was to fund these improvements through a Department of Housing grant or deferred loan based on the capital needs assessment. Under our new government, the State Board Commission has adopted a diet. The State Bond Commission has adopted a debt diet, and Plan A is no longer viable. We've been told it's not going to happen. So our Plan B is to submit an application to the same Department of Housing, with their encouragement, for a federally funded Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, also known as a Small Cities Grant. The application is due in 4 or 5 months and is best started this month. This application must be submitted by the town of Kent, not by Kent Affordable Housing. The small cities must submit their own grants. Back in 2000, the town of Kent voted to contribute 3.9 acres to build South Common on, and then they came back further and obtained a small cities grant for the infrastructure necessary for that project. Sidewalks, water and sewer, extensions, and a 2-lane road required by the fire department to get in and out of the project. In 2005, the town also submitted and received a small cities grant for the interior and exterior upgrades of Templeton Farm, which is separately governed but also an affordable complex. KAH, with state oversight and a professional management company, has successfully operated South Common since 2003. We will do everything in our power to sustain the property, but we need the funds that Plan B would provide. In the short term, smaller needs will be covered by our operating budget for South Common. Now that we have paid off the original mortgage, which frees up some more cash in the operating budget for those things. Community development block grants go primarily to large cities, but also on a competitive basis to some of 30 to 50 small towns and cities in the state. Applications are due around the middle of April. A town hires a grant administrator to help compose the application and execute the program. The operating budget for this proposal, should it be funded, includes about $30,000 for this administrative purpose. But about $15,000 is due before the funds are received to pay for that administrator. Kind Affordable Housing offers to provide that $15,000, so there will be no financial cost to the town. And Jocelyn Ayers of the Northwest Hills Council of Government has agreed to write and process the request for proposals to people who would be the administrators. The application will involve reprioritizing the capital needs assessment, strategies, okay, too many syllables. Strategizing the how much to ask for, composing an operating budget, supplying construction documents, and supplying information from the town. This is where it might come into some work for the town. Such as the plan of conservation and development, the fair housing plan for the town, the history of previous small city grants, like the two I mentioned, and other information about community policies. Kent Affordable Housing is asking the Kent Selectmen to agree to submit an application. The timeline is only 4 or 5 months and is best started this month with ads to hire the grant administrator. We thank the town for the many, many ways it has helped the mission in the past. We hope that Kent will continue to support Kent Affordable Housing in the future, and we look forward to a prompt decision on this request. In fact, we ask you to adopt a motion to create and submit a community development block grant application for South Common. Thank you. And I have a copy of that for you if you'd like it. I also am willing to answer any questions.
So, question. So the only thing you're asking of the town presently is the name,
The what?
our name, the town of Kent, in applying for the block grant,
Yeah.
and that's it, correct?
Well, there'd be some delving into documents and history
Yeah,
for the community, the conservation and development, and the fair housing and stuff like that. Yeah.
and
I'm
that-
sure that the administrator would be with at least
Yeah, that's.
Gene, if not everybody else on the selectmen.
And so the small city grant, what else in town would be covered by that?
What else in town?
Yeah, so affordable housing, but who else could use that in town? What I'm trying to get at is, if you're applying for the small city grant,
Yeah.
is it effectively taking it away from somebody else that we're not considering in town?
Well, if somebody else is planning to put in an application in April, that would be competitive
Right, but am I missing anybody in town that might,
in April.
well,
Our
okay.
explorations have not turned up any such.
Okay, I just didn't, I'm not familiar with
Yeah.
who would be able to use a small city grant.
Anybody who puts in an application
The
like
library would?
this,
Okay.
anybody gets behind an application like this and pushes it.
Right, but you can't do it for certain things, and you couldn't do it for everything, and I guess what I'm trying to understand is what else, and more for just,
Affordable housing is a priority for these grants.
okay,
It has done 2 affordable housing
yeah, and it clearly pushed you in this direction.
in town.
I would think that because there have been no small cities applications since 2005,
Mm-hmm,
the town decided, let's go for the steep money.
oh, okay,
Because it
right,
was,
right,
there was less complication to
Gotcha.
go with the steep money. And only a few things are really eligible for small cities money, one of them being affordable housing.
that's what I was trying to get at, okay,
Yeah.
thank
Right,
you.
so are there any other priorities for that grant? the CB?
I don't know what other organizations
Yeah.
or needs would be eligible for that grant, so that's a fair answer to your question.
If somebody's gonna go this year for it, we sort of should have heard of it by now.
You know, I just don't, I don't know who else is out there. And so, you mentioned $1 million of upgrades.
Yeah.
Is that what you see just by going around or projecting
We
yourselves?
have a report that thick that itemizes it all.
And who put that together?
An architect,
An architectural firm that has done
Lathrop-
this kind of
Lathrop Associates.
rehabbing
This-
in
this-
many
this
places.
went-
We have
This
a
went
copy
to
of it.
the Department of Housing this spring to try to get
Okay.
it funded.
And so, is it, and I know we're sort of digressing a bit, but are you planning to, is this problem gonna happen in another 15 years where you'll need another $1 million to do it? I guess is my question. Is there another plan that you have where you're actually doing maintenance, and do you have a manager who would manage that and know that, you know, we have to replace carpets in number 1, 3, and 7, and,
We have done that in many cases along the way.
uh-huh,
We have a professional manager who's been, well, it's a different firm now, but there has been one of those since 2003. And when an appliance dies, we replace it. We have a line in the operating budget for that, and we have added a line in the operating budget starting next year for the capital needs assessment, which gets the money that used to be paid to the mortgage.
gotcha.
So there's, I think it's 26 on that line and maybe more in the regular repairs line.
But that $1 million can't be for immediate improvements, it's gotta be a long-term,
15 or 20 years.
15 to 20 years.
The roofs are not dead yet,
Yeah, I
but
would
in
hope not.
30 years they will be.
Yep.
The pavements are not as bad as these here, but they will be if they're not kept up.
Okay.
Painting,
No, I understand that, and
That's okay.
do they, I just don't understand that, do they, if you have a problem with a roof, you say we have a problem with a roof and we need $25,000 and they give it to you, or is this a fund? How do you get this money and where is it kept?
Yes, I was asking the same sort of question.
We were expected to go the first 15 years without coming back to the state.
Right.
That 15-year period is now over,
Mm-hmm.
and they're expecting us to come back to the state. So the big items, we don't cover in our capital.
I'm not sure that we get all the money in a big lump on the table.
Right.
Our other construction has been, okay, you get $1.2 million, you let us know what you've spent,
Right.
we'll send you the money.
Right.
So
I do those requisitions
All the time.
15 times through the construction of a place.
Right. Okay.
We don't sit on the money, we,
No, I know that, it just
Yeah.
seems like it would be a lot of money for them to just sort of go
oh,
and wait until the roofs
Yeah.
fail.
yeah,
So they must dole it out somehow, they must have a
Yeah.
fund that just sort of,
well,
based on your plans.
what I say, prioritizing the
Mhm.
capital
Yeah.
needs,
No prioritizing.
yeah.
Okay.
So are we ready to move on this? Do you want us to gather some more information?
You do have a policy that says all grant applications need to be reviewed by the treasurer.
Thank you.
Okay,
She's not here today.
Yeah.
this one,
Just
Well,
a
that's
policy.
pretty much pro forma, because what we're doing is making sure that that expenditures, any expenditures we have that is tagged to the town is
Oh, well,
manageable.
if I came in asking for a merry-go-round, you'd have to think about it a little bit. Yeah.
So I think if we've done this before, this is my opinion, I think this is no problem supporting this.
Yes, as long as we're just applying for the grant administration.
So, but we should take no action so that the treasurer can review it, and then we'll look to take action at the next meeting.
Or a special meeting. if you want.
Do you know,
I think we could support it with that, and
I think we
if
can-
the treasurer approves it,
could you put in that as a
Yes, we
what
can.
if clause?
I think so.
So if, providing that the treasurer approves,
No, you're saying
we
no?
are behind it.
Where is that policy?
In our policy and procedure manual.
I have not seen that recently,
Okay.
so
I would be happy to meet with the treasurer.
I don't think that's necessary, do you guys? I think you check with the treasurer and,
She can have this document, which is pretty much every nail and screw that goes in.
well, I just think whatever the procedure is, you take it to the treasurer and then we come back for a vote if that's the policy.
If that's the policy, and I'm
Well,
getting
Mhm.
two nods,
I agree.
I apologize. I should
that
know
would then have to wait till your next meeting in January.
No, we could have,
Probably do
Yeah, we'll likely do a special meeting.
yeah,
Yeah, because if we're gonna advertise for an administrator, that's gonna take a month.
Right.
And they should hit the ground running at that point,
Right.
so, right after the holidays, it would be good to have that in the papers.
So we'll, I'll loop back with Barbara, and then we'll have to
Okay,
schedule a special meeting
yeah,
so that you guys, you all can,
would you
Start
like
the
to
RFP
show her
process.
that?
I have that,
You have that, that's right.
and I'll actually scan it in so we can make it available.
Because what I've just said doesn't have much meat in it compared to that.
That has plenty of meat.
so your group is totally in charge of the Kent Commons now at this point?
South Common, yes,
South Commons?
yes,
Okay.
yes. It was planned that way in 2000 when it was started.
Right.
The Community Builders, which is a professional firm that builds affordable housing all around, was a big partner along with the bank, and we were a little partner
Right.
like this. But all that money has been taken
But
care
we
of.
knew
and we just
eventually
got
it was
the
gonna
title.
end up getting,
We got
that firm was gonna disappear, and then the town was gonna end up getting it basically dumped on in 15 years.
No,
You know what I mean? If there's no grant money available to do your $1 million worth of repairs, then what's gonna happen?
we're gonna do $50,000 worth of repair a year and put a little spit and gutter.
No, that's what I'm saying, right,
Yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
Now, there is an issue which is the fact that most of the people on the Can't Afford the Housing Board are seniors.
Mhm.
So 15 years from now, I will be 97. And I don't think you'll barely be able to hear me make a proposal. So,
I don't think we'll be here.
Thank you for
Okay.
taking
Thank
the
you.
time and for presenting.
thank you for listening.
Okay.
So we'll continue that
Yeah.
to the next meeting. Next item is the meeting schedule. So Joyce and I spent some time slogging through, I can just hand one of those to Chris. So down the very right-hand column, or very right-hand side of the page is that those months, July, August, October, November, December, et cetera, are based
Oh, I see
on
what you mean.
what Ed had given us. So the most, so first and foremost, we're gonna have to, I'm asking you to dig deep here, Ed, because it's important to me, and I think it's important to everybody, that we have this recurring meeting be an actual recurring meeting, so it's landing on the same second Tuesday, third Saturday, fifth
Okay.
Wednesday, what have you.
No, I understand.
And
How about doing it in the
so-
morning then?
I would rather not, I think it makes it even less available
Well,
to
I
residents.
know, but you know what? I'm available in the morning on most mornings on all those dates. The other dates for the beginning of the month, the first 2 weeks, they usually fall into my afternoon shift. So I could do a 9 o'clock.
I think we're
I
heading
mean, I don't know.
in the
Whatever you
opposite
two decide.
direction of where the feedback that I've been getting from people in town.
Would you like some public input on this? Peter Jensen's my name.
Or for a minute.
Yeah. And one of the things, first off, congratulations to both of you,
Thank
new
you.
select board. Two issues are most important for me in town. And Chris, I know Chris well, and he probably knows what they are. One of them is participation in town government. I've actually put in front of the town, the select board before, some proposals to help to increase participation. Another one is taxes and expenditures. But let's focus on participation here because this very much segues into your schedule. I find it very difficult, and obviously you can see it's very difficult for anybody who is a working person to attend a 4 o'clock meeting, let alone a 9 o'clock meeting, if you're working during the day. I work from home, so it's very easy, and I also live very close, I can walk over. But I would like to see the select board adopt a schedule for their recurring meetings that has the greatest opportunity to have, residents and taxpayers attend and participate. So that's my thought on this matter.
Thank you.
So evening hours not available for you?
They are actually, but I would have to get off work a little bit early, which isn't a problem once a month. But the later is the better. So if you push for later, that's fine with me, but most people aren't gonna come out at 7:30 to it.
What time do you usually get off?
7:30.
You get cut loose at 7:30?
So I could get off at 7 o'clock, but I wouldn't be here till 7:30.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly, that's, you people don't
Yeah,
wanna be here at that hour either. Go ahead.
As I due respect to the board, and it's not our decision, but as employees, and we are asked to come to give reports if we go to conferences and if we have things, so, if it's during working hours. Personally, I wouldn't have a problem at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, but, that's just my 2 cents.
And we had talked about maybe doing a later meeting in the month, once in a while. So if we did a 9 in the morning meeting even, we could do the important stuff and do a meeting later on in the month at a later hour where you people wouldn't have to come and give your reports.
But it's all important stuff that you do.
No, but I mean, if you came and did your first,
Recap.
Yeah.
the first 2 weeks, you wouldn't really have to come to a second meeting. I would, if you wanted to, you could, but you wouldn't have to.
Well,
Or would you have
Right,
to
It would
we would
depend.
We would have to, I mean, it would depend on the agenda, but in most
That's what I
cases,
mean.
we would like to know what you guys are doing.
Right,
Right.
so it's now doubling
Right.
the number.
And that's another meeting, I have
No, I
5
know.
meetings a month already.
Join the crowd.
Well, look, I understand that the town's hall employees like to be here and are important positions here, but we battle the fact that we have you all that work here and can come during your work hours here, and it's easier. The general public has just the inverse. They're working and therefore have no access to meetings at night, which is what I think Peter's talking about.
Correct.
So while, it's easier for me because I have a more flexible schedule, I understand and empathize with someone like Ed who, is a volunteer as well, but also has been elected, and I think we just need to see if we can't do something at night. And maybe it's a solution where it's a hybrid. I'm open to that.
Okay.
But I think we need to do it so that we get as many people involved as possible. And, you know, we could be a year from now talking about the same schedule, and it may have to go back to
Right.
the day schedule. I don't know.
So what we came up with, like the sweet spot, is a 6:30 time on the second Tuesday. But you're saying that's gonna be too early for you for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, for
The second section?
6.
See, it does, my shift doesn't switch till like in October, and then I start
Right.
finally switching back to where I'm working the, morning shift. So I mean the afternoon shift during those months, cause it changes after the 5 weeks in the month, it slowly rotates back through.
Right. So could you do a 6:30 on
Yep.
the second Tuesday
Mm-hmm.
of the month?
Yeah, I can probably figure that out, as long as it isn't snowing. Cause
Right.
if it's snowing, it's mandatory,
Right,
yeah,
we
do
get
that.
that.
Yeah, we
So
can
that
try
makes
that
it
out.
right before ZBA, so if one of us or I need to go to ZBA, I can always step out or,
That's gonna be a rare occurrence,
Right.
ZBA.
right,
Yeah.
or, try to get whatever I wanted to be there for.
I mean, that
I
would,
mean,
I'd
I think
have to take an
ZBA
hour
this
and a half
past year
off.
has only met, I think, 3 times.
Okay.
But we can try it for a few months, and if we have to,
Well, we're gonna put in the schedule to Darlene that it's
Yeah.
for the year.
Alright.
It's gonna be fixed.
Yeah,
okay, that's fine. And what time, 6:30, 6 o'clock?
6:30.
Yeah, okay.
And the further point on this, let's make certain that they're well announced as well. I mean,
Well,
like
if they're
that-
doing a yearly schedule, it'll be,
Yeah, it'll
so it'll
all
be
be on the
automatically
website.
printed.
It's the second Tuesday of each month,
Yes.
and we start January 1st of
Seventh.
January.
Yeah.
So that second Tuesday would be the 14th, is that accurate?
Right.
'Cause the
Unless
first,
you start
the
with
first is a
7th.
Wednesday.
Then it should be like the
Yep.
6th.
It'll be the
No, it's
14th.
the
The
14th.
14th? Yeah,
14th.
sorry,
14th.
14th.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sue.
Is that too late? Okay. 11th. March.
Do we need to make a motion?
Yes, we do.
Either one, and anyone.
I make a motion that we hold the Board of Selectmen meetings from January 14th, every second Tuesday of the month thereafter at 6:30 through December, whatever that's gonna be,
2020.
For the 20.
2020.
December 2020.
I need a second.
Second.
Any discussion?
Nope.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions?
Yeah, so, for Arnie.
I'm still saying it. Robert's Rules says I'm
Okay.
supposed to say it.
Aye.
So that's good news. Fantastic. Next on the agenda is the Kent Local Complete Count Committee. That's a lot of consonants. So, Lieutenant Governor Weissowitz, contacted me, might have been my first day, and she has activated a statewide committee to ensure and encourage that all 169 towns in the state, get the best census count possible. Connecticut receives $10.7 billion annually in federal program funding based on the census funding, which comes out to about $2,900 per person. So they are very motivated to make sure that we get a good census count and that funding comes in, and it's important to count all your folks. So we have a resolution, and need a motion that is in your packets that we'll need to read. So someone can make that motion, and it starts in the second paragraph.
I was gonna say, we can't read I, Darlene, Brave, Darlene.
No, but starting with
You just attest.
the quote, it's to support the 2020 census, and what likely will happen is, once we get closer, we'll start to get materials where we can advertise and share information with the community. We'll put it in our newsletter so that we get the best count possible. I'm sure they'll have plenty of canvassers here during the census, but this is to just officially show our support, so,
Would you like to make your first motion?
sure. I'd like to make a motion to support the US Census Count 2020. Whereas the US Census counts every resident in the United States as mandated by Article 1, Section 2 of the Constitution, and will take place in 2020 as it does every 10 years since 1790. And whereas, according to the US Census Bureau, an accurate census count is critically important to our future because it determines the number of seats each state has in the US House of Representatives. It defines congressional and state legislative districts, school districts, and voting precincts. It determines the annual allocation of $675 billion in federal funding. It determined that Connecticut received over, I should probably say this whole thing, over $10 billion in fiscal year 16 funding, guided by the 2010 census, and failure to accurately count a person would cost our state $2,900 per person per year. Determines Connecticut's funding for Medicaid, SNAP, highway planning, Section 8 housing, special education grants, S-CHIP, Title I grants, National School Lunch Program, WIC, Head Start, foster care, and health center programs. Provides population benchmarks for nearly every other United States survey, and whereas the Census Bureau collects information to produce statistics, and personal information collected by the Census Bureau cannot be used against respondents by any government agency or court. So therefore be it resolved that the town of Kent educate its citizens and encourage its residents to respond to the Census Bureau count because our future depends on an accurate count.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? You know I'm gonna say it every time.
That's fine.
Thank you.
Next, we have a couple of appointments to make. The current term for the Lake Warramog Authority representative expires on 12/31/2019. It's a 3-year term. And the name that we have for the appointment is for Kevin Brady. So I will hear a motion.
So moved to appoint Kevin Brady for the term, the 3-year term to end 12/31/22 to the Lake Warramog Authority.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. And next is for Inland Wetland Commission. That current term ends 12/31/2019. It's a 5-year term, and the name we have is Ken Dietz. And I would hear a motion.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Those are the appointments. And the 5-year capital plan, so that's really included just for quick review. We're still waiting on the Board of Education and the fire department to get back to the treasurer with their capital requests for the next budget year. They've gotten a couple of reminders, I know, that they're both working on it. I have a meeting with Board of Education chair tomorrow, so I will remind him again. Not really much else to review about it. Just wanted to, since we're getting into that time frame.
So, I'm sorry, the Kent Volunteer Fire Department said they were gonna come in with their
that they're gonna have requests.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. And Board of Ed, so those are the two that we have not gotten.
And what is our deadline for this typically?
It passed.
So why do we, you won't know this, but we continually seem to have this issue with these people. What is it? You know, I'm feeling like, forget them. I mean, it just, you get to the point where you finally say, everyone else seems to be doing their work, but they don't.
Right.
And either it's disrespect, or they don't have the time, I don't know. But this is something that's been going on forever, it seems. And then we get, what happens is, there then becomes a forum for those individuals to have to come and say, oh, by the way, and then it becomes more about them and their capital needs than somebody else's department. It's a little frustrating, I should say.
Yeah, and it's the same schedule every year from.
It has not changed,
What I understand.
not changed.
The new person. So I think, you know, I'll send another email out tonight after our meeting. And again, I'm gonna meet with Marty tomorrow. But going forward, I think we need to be more steadfast about, these, you know, when we do these requests. I completely agree. And the fact that it's the same time every year.
Well, I would recommend you draw a date, and a drop date, and if they do not have that date, then we've gotta pass this along. This goes to the town in January at the, when's the town,
Annual town meeting.
annual meeting, when is that, do we know?
Third Thursday.
Third Thursday?
in January.
So-
And it needs, sorry, it needs to go to Board of Finance before then
Has to
too.
go to the Board of Finance, yep.
Which is January
16th.
16th.
No, they're gonna meet early in January, they just haven't adopted
No, I'm
that.
just saying
Well, the
that's when the
selectmen
town
won't meet till
meets.
the
The town
16th.
meetings, yes,
And the town, and you guys aren't gonna meet until the 14th.
right. The Board of Finance is gonna meet before that.
So I would urge you to put a stiff deadline on them, and then, if we're going to meet to do the,
I don't know, I
Camp
don't
Affordable Housing, we double that up on a special meeting and take care of this
Deal
thing.
with it in June.
Okay, so, just looking at all these different dates, what would you recommend for a drop dead date?
Well, you're meeting with Marty tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
and has the fire department reached out at all to us?
We
No.
we had an email from Alan a couple of weeks ago
Right.
that they were working on it. And they have an executive committee on the 4th, on the 23rd.
On the 23rd of,
It's gonna be done
December.
before then, but it is basically done, but there's some people that are,
Well, you guys,
we haven't even had our monthly meeting
yeah, you
yet
guys
this month.
had a
right?
meeting that was canceled, right?
Mhm.
Because of the storm?
Well, I guess. I was working, I don't know what everybody else was doing, but everybody else, once they found out I wasn't available, decided they wanted to cancel the meeting, so.
well, I would think that the fire department would have a subcommittee meeting,
Right.
subcommittee,
Which
that
they
would be
do.
able to just say, this is what we've got, and put it
Yep.
forward.
But they actually can't, Chris.
Well, it was,
It's a true democracy with the fire department. They can't, am I
right, it
wrong?
was discussed
You
at the
have to-
executive
it has
committee
to be
meeting though, and
voted.
they were hoping to be able to put it, presented at the meeting. But the meeting got canceled, so.
So is there
Well,
gonna be a month?
I appreciate that, but you can do it in September. I mean,
Right.
it's
for-
not
right,
something that you have to
starters,
put
yeah.
off.
Right,
It's just
right,
simply that
exactly.
you could have a capital plan committee, or you may have a standing committee that should report to the board or the group and in September or October.
It's the same, you,
Right.
remember, take into consideration.
And I think, you know-
Board of Ed. I don't know when they're going to meet to potentially say they've even approved.
Yeah,
They
the
met
challenge,
last night and they don't think
Ex-
it's
no,
talked
they
about.
did
the perennial issue with these two groups is that they're actually, in effect, not internal groups, if you will. They're not the town crew that works right here. They're not, so while I understand their scenario, I think they just need to plan ahead sooner.
Because, okay.
So when you ask for a drop dead date,
December 27th,
well,
drop
when,
dead date,
it
December 20th.
shouldn't be that hard.
It's
You
not.
guys,
They have to warn a special meeting, both
Okay.
of them would have to warn a special meeting, right?
that's what they
Because
gotta
the
do.
Board of Ed.
We're on the
Right,
5th.
no, I understand, that's not our problem.
Sorry, I just wanna look over here, sorry.
Be
13,
sensitive to
15.
the fact that
I should
there's
say that,
holidays.
I should say that they have to have it in by the 16th of December.
Okay.
And then they just need to sit down, they have to do look, how many special meetings do we do? I mean, you all jump through hoops to do this, so I don't, you know, if they have to do it, they just have to do it. And maybe it's a lesson that they can walk away with and say, next year we'll do it a little early. I don't know. But for planning this capital plan, which I've been part of for a very long time, I think it just could be a little tighter.
Would you like to put that in motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion that we have all capital, 5-year capital plan requests by December 16th. If not, then they will not be considered for the capital plan for 2020.
I'll second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Thank you.
Okay, and the capital plan, what do we got next?
Adjournment.
Yay. I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Thank you.